The first thing that comes to your mind, big boss.
Women. I'm not nothing without a steady hand. I'm not nothing unless I know I can. I'm still something if I don't got a man. I'm a free woman.
When women come together, we just get so powerful. I have a voice, I'm gonna use it.
As an artist, we have a duty to be a voice for the voiceless. You know, we have a followership.
Females need female energy around them, and I wanted to make an album to make girls feel empowered.
I feel like I want to do what everyone else isn't doing.
Yeah.
I think the reason why women get the responsibility of creating another life is because they can fucking do it all.
I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I just want to go up there and tell my story.
I didn't even have anybody on my team. It was me against a whole team of super powerful men.
So juckt mich nicht, wenn ich mit 10 Männern an einem Tisch sitze, so, dann ist mein Mund auch offen. So, dann sage ich auch meine Meinung und man wird, so, man hört mir zu. There's a confidence in what I do. It doesn't mean that I don't fear things because I do, but I'm confident. And that makes me be brave.
I think I'm an underdog as a woman, a black woman at that, a bisexual woman. So I want to fight every normal stereotype that there is.
Les parents nous ont éduqués à toujours revendiquer nos droits, demander nos droits, imposer notre liberté, comme on dit chez nous.
I'm just happy that we're all having the conversation of wanting more women in country, and I'm just lucky to have come around at a time when people are ready for it.
I want our band to get played on country radio, and once we get in the door, I want to hold it open.
Non, je suis pas du genre à calculer les haters.
Carrément, tu leur ferais jamais une chanson.
C'est ça?
Non. Ils méritent pas.
In your position, you're not obligated to, you know, highlight other female artists and give them the spotlight, but it feels like you go out of your way to do that.
Me, like some female, like artists, rappers, and I'm like, these are the girls that are going to go mainstream, like to me.
Having fans look at our confidence and then gain confidence makes us feel more motivated.
And my purpose in doing my music is not just for me to get through things, but it's to help other people.
Artists should never have to part with their work. And if I can do anything to change that for a young artist in the future, you know, I'm going to keep being loud about it.
Siempre estoy tratando de mostrar como en todo lo que hago, una mujer en diferentes facetas y que podamos expresarnos libremente como somos.
The purpose of my position is letting people know that they are completely unique within who they are.
I'm gonna stand out no matter what, so I've just embraced it.
I think the bottom line was and is that I'm enjoying discovering who I am and who I want to be.
Welcome to everybody that's joined us so far. I'm going to give a couple more minutes. Might play that again. It's a powerful day, y'all. Powerful day. I found that just while I was getting ready, but I really like that. Might play that again for you. I want you to name the first thing. I want you to name the first thing that comes to your mind. Big boss.
Women. I'm not nothing without a steady hand. I'm not nothing unless I know I can. I'm still something if I don't got a man. I'm a free woman.
When women come together, we just get so powerful. I have a voice,
I'm gonna use it.
As an artist, we have a duty to be a voice for the voiceless. You know, we have a followership.
Females need female energy around them, and I wanted to make an album to make girls feel empowered.
I feel like I want to do what everyone else isn't doing.
Yeah. I think the reason why women get the responsibility of creating another life is because they can fucking do it all.
I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I just want to go up there and tell my story.
I didn't even have anybody on my team. It was me against a whole team of super powerful men.
So juckt mich nicht, wenn ich mit 10 Männern an einem Tisch sitze, so, dann ist mein Mund auch offen. So, dann sage ich auch meine Meinung und man wird, man hört mir zu.
There's a confidence in what I do. It doesn't mean that I don't fear things because I do, but I'm confident and that makes me be brave.
I think I'm an underdog as a woman, a black woman at that, a bisexual woman. So I want to fight every normal stereotype that there is.
Les parents nous ont éduqués à toujours revendiquer nos droits, demander nos droits, imposer notre liberté, comme on dit chez nous.
I'm just happy that we're all having the conversation of wanting more women in country, and I'm just lucky to have come around at a time when people are ready for it.
I want our band to get played on country radio, and once we get in the door, I want to hold it open.
Non, je suis pas du genre à calculer les haters.
Carrément, tu leur ferais jamais une chanson. C'est ça?
Non. Ils méritent pas.
In your position, you're not obligated to, highlight other female artists and give them the spotlight, but it feels like you go out of your way to do that.
Me, like some female, like artists, rappers, I'm like, these are the girls that are going to go mainstream, like to me.
Having fans look at our confidence and then gain confidence makes us feel more motivated.
And my purpose in doing my music is not just for me to get through things, but it's to help other people.
Artists should never have to part with their work. And if I can do anything to change that for a young artist in the future, I'm going to keep being loud about it.
Siempre estoy tratando de mostrar como en todo lo que hago, una mujer en diferentes facetas y que podamos expresarnos libremente como somos.
The purpose of my position is letting people know that they are completely unique within who they are.
I'm gonna stand out no matter what, so I've just embraced it.
I think the bottom line was and is that I'm enjoying discovering who I am and who I want to be.
All right, like I said, it is a powerful day. Happy International Women's Day. If nobody's wished you that yet, I'm wishing it to you now. My name's Samra A. Stevenson. I am the founder and CEO of S.A. Stevenson Law Offices, Wills on Wheels, and Office Without Walls. And I'm your host today. And with no further ado, I'm gonna let people trickle in. I know we have over 30 registrants for today's event. We did sell out, which is awesome. Thank you all for supporting and showing up today. Our first panelist I'm gonna introduce now is Gabrielle Arrington. Gabrielle is a strategic leader and communicator with 10 plus years of experience advancing social impact initiatives. She leverages public and private partnerships to increase economic mobility, to expand environmental sustainability, and to improve health equity in local communities. Gabrielle's experience working with corporations, nonprofits, and social enterprises on business development, informing change models, advancing philanthropic strategies, relationship management, and marketing communications. Her background includes public relations, fundraising, advocacy, policy analysts, and public management focusing on local and global policy initiatives. In her spare time, Gabrielle is a triathlete and classically trained vocalist. She enjoys learning about alpaca farming, winemaking, farmland investing, and health tech startups. And I'm going to ask her are you able to turn your video on? We had a problem with that on one of our other webinars.
So I'm having some trouble turning my video on, Samra.
All right, well, while I'm figuring that out for you, want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And how you got to where you are now.
Absolutely. So I am originally hailing from Atlanta, Georgia, currently living in the DMV area now. I actually relocated here to advance my career, but I started off in the policy space, specifically around environmental advocacy, doing some local organizing and also advocacy at the UN level, focus on climate change policies, and working with NGOs and community organizations from there. I then advanced to work on fundraising, as well as development and grant writing within nonprofit organizations, which is where my training was in addition to policy. But I wanted a career change. I wanted to focus more on working with corporate stakeholders. So I switched to business development, which I found was different from fundraising and development and grant writing, and learning how to put together pitches to C-suite executives, put together decks, present data-driven models of success for consultative sales, and to advance the strategic initiatives of the organization. And that's how I've been able to build my career from there.
Wonderful. And I'm sorry for these technical difficulties, but I'm going to make you a host and then ask you to make me a host back after you turn your camera on. Do you think you can do that?
Absolutely.
Here we go. All right, go for it.
Okay, let's try this. I see.
Go. And then go ahead and throw that back to me.
All right. Let's see, make host. There we go. That worked out.
All right. So tell me a little about what you're currently working on. I know I've seen your Instagram. I was trying to get a feel for it, but what are you currently working on right now?
For sure. So I'm currently the Senior Manager of Business Development at Management Leadership for Tomorrow. So what I do is I talk to different stakeholders within talent acquisition, sometimes chief diversity officers and otherwise within corporations, about how they can advance their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. We have a series of solution offerings that can help in regards to recruiting, retention, as well as advancement and development, and also consultative services as well. So that's what I currently do. I speak to organizations about where they are and where they're looking to go in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And what exactly got you passionate about doing that? Or did you stumble into it, or was it intentional?
No, I mean, I think it's very interesting that I did find this position online networking and was scrappy in terms of LinkedIn contacts and calling people to be able to eventually make my way up to DC. But I think diversity and inclusion is definitely an area that I'm passionate about, definitely as a Black queer woman, something I'm interested in seeing to continue to advance and expand within organizations.
And working in the field you're in, we're talking about male-dominated industries. Are you one of few women doing what you're doing, or how often do you see other women like you?
I would say in business development, for sure, I was the first woman in my department, for sure, in regards to doing this type of work. And I've definitely had my challenges, but been able to move forward based on mentorship, sponsorship, and some elbow grease and working hard as well. Wonderful.
How can our audience get involved with supporting what you do? How can they find you on social media? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So anyone can find me on LinkedIn under Gabrielle Arrington. That's one way to reach me. I am Gabrielle Arrington on Instagram. And those are the best methods to be able to come in contact with me. But in terms of supporting me as well as our work, we are always looking to partner with organizations that are looking to advance their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. On a personal level, I'm looking to connect with C-suite executives that are working in various industries, but in particular, the foundation space, family foundations, private foundations, corporate foundations that are looking to support DE&I work, as well as to have conversations and networking from there.
And what's your Instagram? Because I've seen your following, so.
For sure. My Instagram is at I am Gabrielle Arrington. Wonderful. So you can reach me there.
And we're going to pause and introduce our other speakers. By no means, we're not done talking yet. Please don't turn off your camera so we don't have any problems there. I'm going to jump over to Kimberly Austin. Kim, I'm going to make you a host so you can turn your camera on. If you could just throw that back to me after you do it.
Sure.
All right. And Kimberly Austin is the Vice President of Business and Professional Development Banking at M&T Bank and leads the team on minority and women-owned businesses. Ms. Austin has demonstrated a history of working in the financial services industry. She is skilled in business financing and cash management services. Ms. Austin serves on the advisory board as an advisory board member with the Hartford Community College, a board member with the Central Maryland Chamber, and a board member with the Howard County Bar Foundation. That's a lot. Off the job, Kimberly is a devoted Ravens fan. I can attest to that, and you can see from her background there. She also volunteers her time at the Maryland Food Bank, United Way of Central Maryland, and Habitat for Humanity. At home, she likes working on home renovations and gardening and spending time with family. Nice to have you, Kim.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. That sums me up.
Tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got into how you started working with M&T and maybe who you worked with before that.
Sure. So I am originally, I grew up in Lexington, Virginia, and moved to the Harford County area back in the 80s. So I have live and breathe Harford County for the last few decades. I am married 20 years this year. I have 3 wonderful children. And about, I don't know, 22, 23 years ago, I really had a passion for numbers and financing and how it all worked. So I took a position at a different bank. So I was with the First Union, Wachovia, Wells Fargo transition, where I got into banking really more on the investment side. Helping people grow their assets was a pretty big passion of mine. However, once I started working in the field, I learned that there's so much more to banking than just investments and deposits. There's the opportunity to help people on the micro level, individually, one-on-one, as well as helping businesses from startup to growth and even retirement. So what I did was spent some time in management, got to learn all I needed to know about that. And then in fall of last year, there was an opportunity for someone to come in on our minority and women-owned business group. The bank, I currently work for M&T. I've been there for 12 years. They created this platform to be very intentional about who we're working with and how we're helping them, how we're uplifting them, and how we're connecting them. So I joined this team back in September, and I have had nothing but good things to say about being able to work with minorities and women-owned businesses. There is so much opportunity out there that I think a lot of people are missing, and really, really want to engage with anyone that wants to know more about banking and understand how things work at the bank.
Tell me a little bit more about the minority and women-owned business team and what you guys do.
So our team was created about 3 years ago. The bank had, I would like to say they started this with our DEI initiatives. So we had some polling that happened internally where we wanted to know what was important, not just to our customers, but also to the employees that work for the bank. And what they found is that we work in different ways, and they're recognizing that. And what they did was created these sort of silos created like these silos where people could work with and have customers that look like them. So what we do in our group is there's a team of 6 of us. So it's led by Deetra Miller. We have a small business ambassador that goes out and works in the community. He helps with resources. He does accelerator programs. He helps with startups as far as being a resource for reviewing business plans and then just sort of pointing them in the direction of where they need to, get started. And then we also have 3 folks on the team that are, like myself, a relationship manager, where we go out, assess people's finances, we assess their dreams, we help them connect the dots, and also try to work with them in the community to point them to other professionals, like-minded individuals or companies that could actually collaborate. And then we have another individual who is our portfolio manager, who kind of keeps us in line and keeps us on track to make sure that we are meeting all of our clients' needs.
And if there's anyone in the audience who's a small business owner or a female owning a business, how might they get in touch with you, and what might they get in touch with you for?
Sure. So you can get in touch with me. The best way to do it would be LinkedIn, because that's kind of the easiest. I'm on LinkedIn. It's under Kimberly Austin. If they wanted to send me a message through there, I can always connect through email or phone. We can do virtual and or in-person meetings. If if you're a small business owner or someone that's looking to get started in the small business arena, by all means, I'm willing to set some time aside to talk through that. And that can mean whatever it is, that you're interested in. So any industry, I can tell you that I have a lot of experience, more so with attorneys and construction companies, restaurants, some engineering firms. That typically is what I have dealt with the most. But by all means, we have resources to help anyone that has a business out there.
We've had conversations about women seeking capital, and we'll be talking about this at our next event on March 15th. But can you talk to us a little bit about the things you see when it comes to women-owned businesses and their willingness to go after capital or fund businesses, and kind of how you encourage that?
Yes. So I think that what I've found is that a lot of female business owners are very proud of what they've done and what they've been able to accomplish stepping into entrepreneurship, and what they have been able to save. They are typically wanting to use those funds to get themselves, kick-started. And what I've been trying to stress to them is that banks typically see folks in one of two categories. Either you are a saver, which that person typically is, or you're a spender. We in the banking world like to lend to people that we consider savers. So that, that doesn't have to mean that, you're saving, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's more about saving more than you're spending. So what we've been trying to stress is that the bank is there to lend you the money to get yourself started. That nest egg that you've accumulated on your own is there for backup. So you should always use, if you're able to, use someone else's money to help you so that you're properly setting your business up from the beginning. So that includes marketing, that includes staffing, that includes inventory. So those things you can just get kickstarted right off the bat with the funds that you're borrowing from the bank, or even other resources. There's grant funds out there that we can help you locate. And then there's some micro lending opportunities. So it doesn't always have to be with the bank, but what we're saying is leverage those opportunities and keep your money so that when you need it, you have it.
Based on your experiences, why do you think women have a harder time asking those questions or finding out that information?
Well, just based on what I've seen and my personal experiences, I think we're just proud. I think we're too proud to ask. I think that what happens is we're also afraid to fail. So if you're borrowing someone else's money and you can't pay it, or there's, you run into a situation, it's a pride thing.
Do you have any advice for any women in business that might be seeking some funding or startup capital?
Absolutely. I always recommend that, even before you come to a bank, if you have a relationship with, a CPA accountant or an attorney, someone that you can bounce ideas off of, or find out what the liability and the risk is, then by all means use them. But your banker is your friend too. I mean, we're not always looking to just do the quick sale. We're trying to build relationships so that we can help you get to where you want to go.
Gabrielle, I'm going to bounce that question over to you. Do you ever see women hesitant to ask for services that you're able to provide them, or benefits you're able to get them?
Not necessarily so much in my case, but I would say naturally in business development, you're learning how to pitch and state what your needs are and what you want. And sometimes I find that women across multiple fields, industries, and functions have trouble with that. And it takes practice in being able to build that confidence and execute there.
Thank you. All right, Kim, can you pass me back that host? And our next panelist is going to be Dr. Sharma, Saluja Sharma. Dr. Sharma, if you could turn on your video before I make you a panelist, that way maybe we can avoid all this back and forth. If you go to the top right-hand corner of my picture, okay, and then hit the ellipsis. There we go. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, and our last panelist I'd like to welcome is Dr. Saluja Sharma. All right, I'm going to throw you the host now. Everybody gets to be a host today, and ask you to turn your camera on. We're having some problems there. Go ahead.
Hi, can everyone
Hi.
see me?
Good afternoon. Let me go ahead and introduce you. Dr. Saluja Sharma is a board-certified physician in emergency medicine and lifestyle medicine, an integrative health coach, and the founder of Head, Hearts, and Hands, a comprehensive lifestyle change program for businesses and individuals. After years of practicing emergency medicine on the front lines of our healthcare system and seeing so many people suffering with diseases that could likely be prevented, Dr. Saluja Sharma created Head, Heart, Hands to help people lose weight, prevent disease, optimize their physical and emotional health, and to increase longevity. Her program is holistic and addresses diet, nutrition, physical activity, decreasing and better managing stress, mindfulness, mindset, and improving sleep. All great things. To put it simply, her goal is to help people live longer, healthier, and happier lives. I love it. For businesses, her program can improve morale, decrease burnout, create a culture of well-being and good health within the organization, and reduce healthcare spending. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you so much.
If you could go ahead and make me a host again, I'm sorry to interrupt the flow of the conversation, but look into the top right-hand corner of my screen. If you see an ellipsis there, and just hit the drop down and make me a host. Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome. Please tell our audience a little bit about where you're from, how you got into your profession, and then, I'm reading your bio, obviously, how you got to where your business is, but tell us about you.
I'm an ER doctor, and so I've been practicing for over 15 years. So I went to medical school in North Carolina at Wake Forest University School of Medicine, and then I did my residency in inner city Philadelphia, and then I moved to the Washington, D.C. area, and I've been practicing here in some of the big hospitals in the area. So I was at Inova Fairfax and Centara Potomac, and then I was at Sibley Memorial Hospital in downtown DC for about 10 years. But throughout my career, when I've been practicing on the front lines in the ER, one thing really became clear to me is that our healthcare system was really prioritizes treatment of disease, not really disease prevention. And so that's something that I feel like was always something that I felt strongly about, that we need to prioritize disease prevention. And every day in the ER, I would see people coming in with chronic diseases and suffering, often unnecessarily, because so many of those diseases could be prevented. While searching for answers and a better solution, I became board certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And what lifestyle medicine is it's the idea is that our lifestyle, using our lifestyle, we can prevent, treat, and often reverse so many of the most common chronic diseases that plague us. And it's estimated that about 80% of our most common chronic diseases are preventable. So I created my program, Head, Heart, Hands, as a solution for individuals to help them lose weight and help them prevent disease and really change their life to optimize their physical and emotional health and increase longevity, so add years to their life. And then I've kind of expanded that. So in addition to having a weight loss program for individuals, and then I have this whole lifestyle change program for individuals, I'm also now working with businesses, and I have a workplace wellness program. And that's really been quite exciting because I feel like I'm able to reach even more people. So that's what I'm doing.
That's wonderful.
I think it's helpful. I'm sorry, it's helpful for the companies because it can help them reduce healthcare spending, and it can help them change the culture of the company. But it's so helpful for the employees to help them make these changes so that they can live healthier, happier, hopefully longer lives.
Absolutely. As a lawyer, I can say for sure it's necessary to think about those things. What types of businesses do you typically work with, or do you see coming to you for help?
So I feel like there's lots of companies that I've been talking to, I think anyone any company can really use this. I think, there's some IT companies that I think the focus is more stress and burnout. But then there's other companies that the idea is that, their companies utilize the emergency room a lot, their employees utilize the emergency room. So the idea is to decrease healthcare spending. And so really, I feel like my program is actually about all of the pillars of lifestyle medicine. So about what we eat, our physical activity, our stress, our sleep, really looking at so many different factors of our life. So it's really helpful for all of those needs, when it comes, if it's stress and burnout, our lifestyle can be helpful with that as well. If it's reducing healthcare spending, our lifestyle is helpful for that.
Very cool. How can people get in touch with you if they want to utilize your services or help support what you're doing?
You can always go to my website. So I have a lot of information on there. It's headhearthandsmd.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm hopefully, going to be posting there more often. I'm not the best with social media, but I've been trying to be more active on those platforms.
That's always the goal. That's always the goal. All right, so you're all in male-dominated industries. And so one of the first questions when I was coming up with questions for today was, because I think I'm just relating to myself, but how did you get comfortable voicing your opinion in a male-dominated industry? Did it take time? Did it come naturally for you? Were there life experiences that led to you being able to do that? And I'm going to throw that out to the panel, whoever wants to answer first.
I can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like for so much of my life, prior to creating my program, prior to creating my business, I had a lot of limiting beliefs about myself. I didn't feel like I was capable of doing, something like this, these types of, public speaking, or, so many of the things that I'm comfortable doing now. And I think that for women, so many of us are so judgmental of ourselves. And when we grow up, there's this somehow belief, we learn that we're supposed to be perfect. And that holds us back, right? When we're trying to be perfect all the time, and we end up judging ourselves, and then, maybe not taking as many risks, or in areas that men, sometimes maybe are less judgmental of themselves, and they take more risks. What I have found is that by changing my mindset and really starting to push myself out of my comfort zone, it's really changed the way I think about myself. I used to think of myself as just an introvert, and now I recognize that I'm more capable of doing things than I thought. And I think that with that practice, it's really changed who I am, and help me to do what I'm doing.
Imposter syndrome, I think, is what it's referred to when we don't think we have what we need, or the knowledge base to do what we need to do. And interesting how men can just jump into that so freely. Yeah. Would anyone else like to speak on that? Voicing your opinion in the male-dominated industry, how did you get to that, or get over that?
Yeah, I can add to that. I think this rolls into what I was saying before about confidence. I feel like a lot of even my friends that are females, we could be very extroverted in a social setting, but you put us in a boardroom, and we feel like we want to be very intentional on the words that we use, and how that might land on someone else. So many times we don't say anything. What I found is that you just have to, you have to believe in what you're saying, so you can get that message across. Confidence is what I feel like, me and many others are missing, but you get the confidence by starting small. So maybe this meeting, you add something very small to the meeting, and then each meeting going forward, have more of a voice.
I would like to add that to that as well. I think that both panelists made great points. In addition to having confidence and voice, in my opinion, learning how to read the room has been especially important to me. Understanding what communication styles and what data points resonate best with individuals and stakeholders that I am communicating with, because not all communication styles are the same or resonate in the same way in order to make an impact.
Can you give some examples of reading a room or how you do that?
For sure. So one thing that I learned, for example, is a takeaway for fundraising, that some people resonate with data points. Some people resonate based on emotion, talking about passion for a cause or for an organization or in other ways, right? So being able to read what is most important to the person in delivering a point, if you're delivering to a particular stakeholder or to a group of stakeholders, can be important.
Thank you. I just want to note to our audience, I am throwing out some polls as we go along, and there's also an opportunity for question and answers to the panel. If you want to put your questions in the chat windowed at the bottom of the screen, I'll be more than happy to try and incorporate that into the presentation today. My next question to the panelists, have you ever felt, and this comes from my experience with in the workplace or at home, but in feeling unheard. And so by that, I mean feeling like people aren't listening. And one of my mentors expressed to me that, when I raise my voice in any situation, it's usually because I don't feel heard. Then I have to speak louder to feel heard. Have you ever felt unheard in a working environment? And what did you do about it? I'll throw that to Kim first.
Darn it. So, yes, absolutely. I think most of my adult life, I feel unheard. I think the way that I've gotten folks to listen to me is by proving that they're losing out if they're not listening. So what I mean by that is, I can proactively come to you and let you know some things that I'm thinking. However, you're not listening. It's in one out the other. But then there could be situations where, maybe you did speak up. And they kind of heard you, but they didn't take action upon the words that you used. So then maybe they'll come to you and ask you, offline, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then once they start to believe in your capabilities, it's you're heard more. But the unfortunate part about that is that we were unheard first. And how to change that is what we're trying to work on now. Because, there are plenty of capable women that are sitting in whatever atmosphere, environment they're in, and they're just so afraid to speak up because they'll feel like those words will land on deaf ears. Maybe in a corporate environment, we have a different environment to try to get those ideas, whether it's polls, whether it's one-on-one conversations. But definitely it's happened, but we're overcoming those barriers.
Good answer. Dr. Sharma?
I think I would agree with that. I mean, I think for me, it's always been the struggle of not speaking up. I mean, I think that it took a long time for me to get the confidence to speak up. And I think that that's really, now that I'm speaking more, then people are listening more. And so I think, I think for me, it's just being, taking more risks, getting out of my comfort zone more was really the key for me.
Do you create opportunities for yourself to get out of your comfort zone?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. I feel like, especially as an entrepreneur, what I keep telling myself, and it is that if I'm not living outside of my comfort zone, then I'm not really, or when I'm living outside of my comfort zone, I'm moving in the right direction. That's really kind of what I tell myself. And so it's kind of fun to think like that and to feel like that. And now I recognize that everyone has fear, and it's not like I don't have fear living outside of my comfort zone, but now I recognize that fear is okay. It's not the worst thing. It's just an indication that I'm moving in the right direction and that I'm taking risks.
It's how we learn and grow. And one of the things that I think has gotten me more comfortable, it started with volunteering. So once I took myself out of my regular family work routine and got myself involved in different organizations, it taught me something about myself that I didn't know. But being able, it's very humbling to volunteer for different organizations. And then what I found was it led me into leadership in some of those organizations, you know, participating in committees or joining boards or even running boards. That gives you those small incremental steps are what can build that confidence and get you out of that comfort zone and create a whole new level of you know, opportunity.
I love that, the volunteering, absolutely. And it's service work at the same time, so it's doubly beneficial. Gabrielle, I want to give you the opportunity to answer the same question.
For sure. And if you hear some slight construction in the background, my apologies there. But I would definitely agree that volunteering is a great way to continue to build and expand upon different skill sets and build confidence from there. I think also having one-on-ones and building relationships, building that social capital within organizations has made me more comfortable to be able to speak out and express my opinion, especially if I am the only one having that opinion within the room. So those are some tactics that have personally helped me.
Wonderful. Now, I threw out a poll about gender bias in the workplace, and about 90% of our participants said that they've experienced gender bias in the workplace. So let's talk about that. Have you, as panelists, experienced gender bias in the workplace, either where you are now or in the past? And I'll say for myself, I didn't really, I'm not saying it wasn't there, but it became very apparent to me when I got to the law school, and afterwards, the gender bias and just how it plays out, even walking into a courtroom as a full-fledged attorney in a suit with my briefcase, and I am either a client or a stenographer or a paralegal. So those types of things happen still today. What about your own experiences? Can you give some real life experiences as to anything you've experienced?
I can jump in. I definitely have experienced that. I feel like as a woman physician, sometimes I'll see a patient and then the nurse will inform me later that they said they never saw the doctor. And I'm like, oh, no, I did see them, but I guess, they weren't expecting that I was their physician, even though I had a white coat on and I introduced myself as a doctor and I examined them and we talked about, the plan of care. But, so that's definitely happened. I also think that in the emergency room, working with all of the staff, working with the patients, working with everyone, as a woman, sometimes you have to be, it's more difficult, I think, honestly. I mean, I think that you have to be assertive, right? Because it's important to be assertive, but then you can't be too assertive and be unlikable, right? So there's this balance that you have to always be walking. You have to seem like you know what you're doing and be competent, but then you also want to be kind. And so I don't know, sometimes I think as a woman physician, I'm thinking about that a lot, that balance. But I don't think that male physicians even have to think about that at all most of the time.
Sure. Gabrielle?
Certainly have had individual experiences about gender bias. What was interesting was that McKinsey published a report last year called Women in the Workplace. And I was reading about this phenomenon called the broken rung, where the most uneven promotion between men and women is not at the very top, but it's at the very first step of going into management, where future opportunities are unlocked, and that men disproportionately get access year over year to those positions over women. I definitely had experiences where I've seen men that were on the fast track for promotional opportunities within different organizations, and finding that I was raising my hand for different opportunities to serve on different committees, boards, organizations within the company, but found when it came to the performance evaluation process, that those factors were not being measured in the same way in terms of success, despite exceeding expectations in other areas of the business. So I think I've encountered areas where the bar of success was not always clear within organizations of how to exceed, and being able to lean again on sponsors within the organization, mentors, looking at, frankly, sometimes what other male colleagues in business development were doing within the organization or in other organizations as well, to be able to formulate my pitch to be eligible for promotions as well as for raises. So that's what I've done to be able to navigate those difficulties in terms of gender bias.
Thank you. Kim, I'm interested in your answer, and also as a mother who has to juggle that and having a separate life outside of work. What have your experiences been?
So I have just a quick story that makes me laugh all the time. I had an employee a few years ago when I was managing. Like I had mentioned, I managed for about 15 years as a branch manager. And quite often we would get individuals in that I would hire for my junior positions, my banker positions that usually met with clients. And clients would constantly come in. My office was next door to my banker, and they would ask if they could speak to the manager. And I would say, well, I'm the manager. They're like, well, what about him? And he was the younger, I think he was 25 at the time, younger white male. But they always wanted to speak to him. So I'm like, well, is there something I can help you with? And they're like, no, I just want to talk to him. So quite often he would take the client in, ask the questions, and then he'll say, you know what, I got to get the answer from my manager. So hang on one second. And he'd walk into my office and then come back. So that was a very obvious one. But yeah, there have definitely been situations where, you know, as a mother, especially when the kids were younger, I felt like even the opportunity to advance wasn't there because they knew that I had kids at home and there was a chance I might have to take a couple days off if they got sick. But I felt like there were, you know, like definite situations where that was a thought where it wasn't a thought for my counterparts. So, you know, I can't pinpoint any specifics on this call, but I definitely know that there were some situations where I felt like that was a little bit different. And even, you know, there's been times where I'm generally a pretty jovial, fun person, and I try to bring that everywhere I go. So there have been times where even leadership has been part of, you know, we'll have big grand events and leadership is there and I'm being jovial. And then I get spoken to later, like, "Ooh, I don't know if you should have been so friendly with them." I'm like, well, why can't I be friendly? All the guys were friendly. Like, why can't I step in and, you know, ask them how football's going or whatever? So there's definitely been situations where it puts you on pins and needles for sure.
Interesting. With that, I'm interested to know, with the 25-year-old, was there ever a conversation or a dialogue between the two of you about what was going on?
Yes. So he kind of made fun because that particular client also said, what is it like to have a manager that's younger than you? And I was like, thank you, because I'm not younger than him. But no, he definitely understood. He identified with the struggles that I went through as his manager. And he was giving me the respect by telling the clients that he needed to check with me on some of those issues. So I truly appreciated his efforts in making sure that that message was conveyed.
Sure. All right, I want to talk a little bit solutions-based talking. Since we're talking about the problem, we're all aware of the problem. Let's talk about how do we lift women up, or lift each other up as women? Is it a intentional part of your practice and whatever you do? I know, Kim, obviously you're in a part of a team that does that specifically, but how do you intentionally go after lifting other women up? Dr. Sharma?
I feel like my whole program is about that now. Okay. So, you know, the majority of my individual clients are women, and I think that a lot of times as women, a lot of times working moms or professional women, we don't, we recognize that we want to take better care of ourselves. We recognize that we don't practice enough self-care, but we don't know how. We don't know we don't think we have the time. And so I think that's part of what I do now is I help people prioritize their own health and then kind of connect the dots of their health of why they may be feeling a certain way, and then help them feel better, and make small improvements in their life, make small changes that can end up being big improvements in their quality of life. So that's what I'm sort of working on right now. I think part of that is also encouraging people to be compassionate for themselves, so practicing self-compassion. So I think, again, so many of us are so hard on ourselves, so judgmental of ourselves. And so really encouraging people to, as they're making these changes, to also, it's not about, deprivation or shame. It's about just concentrating on doing things that make you feel better, and being kind to yourself. So that's really like what my whole message and program is all about.
Awesome. Gabrielle, I've seen your Instagram again, so I saw the reel this morning. Is that part of how you help identify with other women and help encourage them to be themselves, speak up, go after things?
Absolutely. We exude confidence, and that's how we're able to encourage other women. I think in terms of also my work, and I do have members of my team who are new mothers as well that I'm supervising, but focusing on outputs rather than inputs is extremely important to me, and having a high level of flexibility. I don't need to micromanage people. I don't need to have constant Zoom or video calls to be able to measure the success metrics of working with my supervisees, which I think is extremely important for women, especially those that have additional responsibilities outside of the workplace as well.
Kimberly?
I would say in my personal life, and also just professionally within the organization, just trying to be that mentor, trying to, help people build confidence, show them their value. A lot of times people just don't know what value they bring to the table. There's a lot of value that I feel I bring to my female clients. So in the position that I'm in within our group, the minority and women-owned business group, I'm meeting with, I would say, probably 75% females. And the thing that I like to do with them is actually kind of make it not just about finances, but about goals and dreams. So when we break it down that way, they have a little more confidence in the conversation, the dialogue. So we're talking about how to get there. And sometimes there's finances involved, but more so it's their vision and dream, and trying to get them to put a timeline on it and create actionable items so that we can actually work towards that goal.
And the poll I just took was on mentorship, and my question was, do you have a female mentor you can call on? And we have about split on this one. Majority said yes, but it's about split 50-50. Do you all have mentors that you, and did you seek them out? Did they seek you out? Everybody's had different experiences, so I think it would be beneficial for the audience to hear yours.
I would just say mine was more organic. Mine was just, that was the person that I reported to at one point, and through time, I found value in continuing that relationship.
I would say the same, and I would also say that the engagement varies. Sometimes it's very organic, where we catch up every once in a while. Sometimes it's reaching out to that person about a specific question. One example would be around my promotion and raises as well, in terms of knowing how much to ask for in my field. What is a competitive rate? What are points that I need to emphasize to my management in terms of what success metrics look like? That I did reach out to some of my male colleagues and mentors in doing that line of work, and some that I previously worked with as well.
Yeah, not trying to take away from male mentors at all. Do you have any advice for if someone is seeking out and reaching out to a mentor, how they can engage in an organic way or facilitate those conversations?
Sure, I found that people have been very amenable to connect with me via LinkedIn to have informational calls, to talk more about the work that they do and just share information and advice from there. LinkedIn groups are also a great way to connect around shared topics. There are plenty of business development groups that I'm a member of, or advocacy groups and otherwise. So I think especially being in the midst of everything that has happened within the past few years, that people are engaging more online and through LinkedIn than ever before. So I found people to be very accessible in that way. So I would encourage anyone to start there in terms of building their networks.
If anyone was reaching out to one of you as a mentor, what are you more responsive to in terms of, is it like a LinkedIn message that's general and maybe they sent it to 12 other people, or what could they say to maybe be genuine in their interactions with you?
I think noting a shared interest or alignment in terms of something in my program, and then they'd be interested to have a call to learn or to learn more, something along those lines, something that is tailored specifically to what they've learned from my profile would be effective.
Good answer. Dr. Sharma?
I agree. I mean, I think that if someone was interested in talking to me, I mean, I would appreciate an email that was more personal, individual, rather than a group, message. But I think just, reaching out and asking for help, I think I would be happy to help if someone reached out to me. I've actually found, I was just going back to your initial question about a mentor. I've actually found podcasts to be really helpful. It's not a mentor, but kind of. I mean, I found some people who, some female physicians who started their own business, so female physician entrepreneurs, and just finding networks of people who are doing similar things or have similar interests on social media, or finding podcasts relating to that subject, and really like finding people who are doing amazing things. I found that to be really helpful.
Would you like to add anything, Kim? No pressure.
No, I think what they've said is helpful. Anytime someone has reached out to me, and in the past, it's mostly been around banking. It's been female coworkers that have reached out to me, maybe new in the field, and asked for some guidance, and it continues on for years. But that's pretty much anyone that is looking for a mentor and wants me to help them, I am more than willing to help them. I would never say no to someone, because it takes a lot of courage to speak up and ask for help.
Good answer. And sticking with you, what advice would you give to any young woman entering the banking industry, the finance industry, in order to get started and feel more comfortable?
I would say that a lot of this job is trying to help people, and a lot of times when people come into banking, they think it's strictly about the numbers, and it really isn't. The numbers are sort of a guide, but what we're trying to do, whether it's on the business side or even with our retail customers, is we're just trying to help people move their finances along and get from point A to point B, whatever that means. Some people are looking to save money, some people are looking to invest, some people are wanting to buy houses, or whatever it is. Take the financial part out of it and get to know the person in front of you, so that you can build trust and rapport, and that will help you with this career, because once you connect with the people, everything else falls in line.
How about the medical industry, Dr. Sharma?
I think that's the same thing. It's really about listening and connecting with people. And I think that, probably in every line of work, that's the most important factor.
Gabrielle?
Absolutely, and focusing on building authentic relationships, mutually beneficial relationships. They may not be as mutually beneficial in the beginning, especially if you're looking for a mentor to support you. But I found that has helped me throughout my career.
And sticking with you, I want to just talk about the word sisterhood, since we're all here together and we're all women. What does the word sisterhood mean to you?
I would definitely say connection and vulnerability. and asking for support when we need it and offering that support as well. I've known that I've talked quite a bit about reaching out to male colleagues or male mentors. Sometimes that's what was available to me, but I think otherwise sisterhood can be very powerful in terms of building confidence, even if there isn't always a presence there within our specific careers or functional areas or industry areas, but having that level of support is impactful for us to continue to succeed.
Thank you. Anyone else want to take that one on?
I would just say sisterhood is making sure that we're all taking care of each other, there for each other, supporting each other, guiding each other. Definitely a lot of support when it comes to sisterhood.
I just wanted to also say that what I found and what I often say is that when we help other people, we're helping ourselves too. And so, you know, I think with that in mind, you know, just being giving, you know, can help others, but help ourselves.
It probably ties right into that mindfulness and mindset piece though too, right? Because having to get over this idea that you're asking for help, you're admitting some kind of weakness or that kind of thing, going back to what Kim said about asking for financial help. Just in my experience, just having to remind myself almost on a daily basis, it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. And usually the longer I wait, you know, the worse I make it. So, you know, we're coming to the top of the hour. So I do want to kind of end with some questions that are on a forward thinking note and about, you know, how do we take this conversation, other conversations like this, and how do we pave the way for the next generation? As I wrote that question, I was like, I remember when I was the next generation. Now I'm a little older and that's not the case anymore. But how do we pave the way for the next generation? How do we make it easier for those young people coming behind us? Generally, what can we do with meetings like this and spreading the same kind of energy as we go out from here?
I think it's important to not just wait for people to come to us for help. If there's some way for us to go out and engage with folks that are like us, by all means, take a more proactive approach. I know there's a lot around mental health, and you know, I personally know people near and dear to me that are struggling with that, and that's so many layers of support and help that's needed. But being there for people, and then, like I said, just the proactive approach.
Any additions to that? Okay, I threw out a poll about leadership identification, mainly because I actually want to hear from you guys. Do you identify as leaders? Have you always identified as leaders? Maybe it's sometimes, not all the time. Obviously, you're sitting here on this panel, so there's something to be said about that. But do you identify as a leader in life or in your industry, either way? I'm seeing some heads nodding yes, so I'm guessing yes. Okay. And was that a natural leadership thing that came up, or did you grow into that role?
I can speak. I identify as a leader now. I think that was not something that I always identified as. It's really just, it's been a progression, as I mentioned. And I think as I found something that I feel passionate about, and then, you know, taking risks and, you know, I just feel like I've become more comfortable in this role. And I really do think that so much in life is really mindset, right? And so much of my program is about mindset, but so much of our life's experiences are about mindset. And so I've found that as I've changed my mindset and I've started recognizing that these thoughts that I had about myself, that, you know, that I am an introvert, or these thoughts that, you know, you have these beliefs about yourself, you know, we're not stagnant, you know, we can change. We are capable of so much. And so wherever we are now, we can always change and grow and improve ourselves. So I feel like I've really come to believe that now.
Absolutely. To add on to what you're saying, I think focusing on that growth mindset for me and asking for help in terms of expanding on different skill sets has been invaluable for me in terms of my leadership style and focusing on problem solving and building trust. I think that's really the core of leadership for me. And that's been amplified for me over time.
Well, we are at the top of the hour. I want to give everybody a chance to give their information about how you can be reached one more time, whether that's your email, LinkedIn, or Instagram, starting with Gabrielle.
Absolutely. So the quickest way is actually on LinkedIn via Gabrielle Arrington, but I'm also on Instagram as I am Gabrielle Arrington.
Hi, Kim.
Sure. So I can also be reached on LinkedIn under Kimberly Austin.
And I also can be reached on LinkedIn, Ritu Saluja Sharma, and you can also go to my website, headhearthandsmd.com, and reach me from there.
And I am Samra A. Stevenson, and you can find me on Instagram at Office Without Walls or at www.saslawoffices.com. I want to thank everybody, especially these wonderful panelists, for joining us today. What a wonderful audience with participating in the polls. This has been a great webinar, and I want to thank everybody. It's a powerful day. I was getting ready for this, and I just like, this is powerful. So I really appreciate your contributions. Any final remarks before we end the meeting? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for having us.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.